So at this point, I've already removed the drive shafts, and I've already disconnected the shocks from their lower mounting bracket. I've dropped all the bolts or the nuts from the U-bolts, and I'm preparing to take off the mounting plate. Everyone says this is the easy part, getting this off. It's the next part, seeing if this bolt sees to the metal sleeve that's inside the bushing. Because if it sees to the inside of the bushing, I'm going to have to take drastic measures to get this out. So that's a good thing, it just spun. Wow, this is more luck than I can ever imagine. Everything I've seen that this bolt freezes to the inside here and is impossible to get out. Maybe these were replaced at some point in time because these springs seem to be smaller than what I think they should be, and they're coated with grease. So maybe these were out at some point in the car's past. I don't know. So that's what the condition of the bushing is. Most people say that sleeve will have frozen solid to that bolt, and you can't get it up, but have to cut the bolt off. Okay, so I wanted to show you a comparison between the old spring and the new spring. So if you look at them closely, the new spring is higher in arc. However, the old spring is actually longer. It's 2 inches longer than the new spring. When I went to put this in the car the first time, I was quite freaked out. I didn't realize that the new spring was shorter. I talked to the manufacturer and they said you have to actually stretch the spring. So here's a view that's a bit closer so you can see the detail. The old spring, obviously, just being so rusty, they squeaked and made all kind of noise. There are no anti-squeak pads in here. Here are these rubber pads that go between each leaf. And the interesting thing about this, the old spring is 5 leaves. The new spring has 6 leaves. Everything that I've read, and every person I've talked to that professionally sells springs, say the springs for the 63 convertible, because the convertible was heavier over the rear axle, needed the extra spring. Hence, you have a 6-spring leaf spring here, 5-spring leaf spring in this one. You can really see the difference in the length of the spring itself. As you can see, they're about equal here. Go to the length, and look at the big difference there. When I call the manufacturer, this is what they said for this spring. You measure from this point here to the center of the bushing to the center post here. The short side is 22 inches long. On the long side, center, this is the back of the spring, and you measure to this point here, 28 inches long. You measure that, the new spring, along that curvature, it's 22 and 28, just as the manufacturer said. I knew I had the right spring. So we're going to prep the parts for installation, light greasing on each of the bushings. So here's the new bolt for the front of the leaf spring. This piece of wood here is key to actually how we stretch this spring. What I'm going to do is, this piece of wood will go on the bottom of the frame rail. This will be in contact with the frame rail. I chose this here because it's really smooth and slippery. It's going to go like this. I'm going to put a floor jack beneath here. The front of the spring will be attached already, and as I push up on here, it actually lengthens the spring, and the spring will begin to ride along back here. Then I'll be able to connect the shackle to it and get it in place. So I've mounted the leaf spring in the forward mounting bracket, and I'm just about to snug up this bolt before I can move on to the next step. So here's the dilemma right here. This is what I mean by the spring needs to be stretched. So we're going to go ahead in just a few moments. I'll put a floor jack under the center of the spring. I'll lift it up, and you'll watch the spring slide back along the frame rail. Okay, the next step, I have the jack in place. I need to raise the spring up against the frame rail and then begin to stretch it out. So here we go. I'm doing this by myself, so it's going to take several hands to be able to do this. Okay.